Hey everyone. Welcome to AfriHeart Stories, your go-to spot for African tales. Don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a comment. Now sit back and enjoy. Ella Drummond lies on the examination table as Nurse Patel steps out, closing the door softly. The sterile white walls press in on her. She glances at her reflection in the small window pane. The resolve in her eyes belies the fear creeping in her chest. Last night, she and Marcus had argued about starting a family. He insisted everything would be fine. Now she wonders if he lied. Footsteps approach. Dr. Kamen enters, expression unreadable. He clears his throat. Ella, we have your results. His voice wobbles just perceptibly. Everything looks normal. Relief floods her, but something in his gaze freezes her. But, he continues, there are some irregularities that I think warrant further review. She's silent, heart pounding. The doctor shifts uncomfortably. Let me get a colleague. As Dr. Kamen steps back out, murmurs drift through the corridor. She hears Nurse Patel's voice, I don't believe he's being truthful. And someone else, maybe a trainee, whispers, it's all her fault. Ella's breath catches. She leaps off the table and storms into the hallway where two nurses exchange hushed words quietly. She's healthy, one says. The other sneers, still no baby bump. They don't notice her ankles trembling, face pale. Ella steadies herself against the wall, pressing her palm into the cool paint. Fury surges. How can they judge her? How dare they cast blame? She backs away when she sees a shadow moving at the end of the corridor. Marcus emerges, arms crossed, brows drawn. His lips press into a thin line. What's taking you so long? He demands. She stares at him. Your doctor isn't sure about my fertility? I heard voices. She's angry, hurt. Don't be ridiculous, he snaps. You're overreacting. His tone is sharp, dismissive. Ella's tears sting. Did you hear them? She asks, voice trembling. He steps closer, lowering his voice. Stop creating drama. Trust me. In the silence, Ella's world shifts. If her health isn't the problem, what is? She watches his retreating back, shoulders tense. A whisper of doubt curls in her mind. Someone is hiding something, and she intends to find out whose secret lies beneath the surface of her own marriage. Her mind replays each syllable she overheard, not just idle chatter but conspiracy. The antiseptic scent that once comforted her now feels acrid, a reminder of the deception she senses. She presses her forehead against the cool metal of the bench, heartbeat thundering. Behind the curtain, she imagines hushed meetings. Who stood in that room before her? What evidence waits hidden in files? The possibility that Marcus, her partner of 5 years, could betray her trust claws at her chest. She breathes in, steadying herself. Determination replaces dread. She will insist on seeing the mysterious colleague. Tonight, she vows to review every document, overhear every whisper. If someone is orchestrating this lie, she will unmask them. Only then can she reclaim her life, and discover the truth rising like a silent scream beneath the surface of her marriage. She listens intently. Ella Drummond hesitates at the threshold of her in-laws' grand dining room. Silk curtains dangle like heavy secrets, and the polished mahogany table gleams under the chandelier. She clutches her bouquet of steamed vegetables, straight from tonight's menu, and takes a steadying breath. Only polite smiles greet her. Silence coils around the guests like fog. Across from her, Marion Kingsley, Marcus's mother, barely meets her eyes. A single silver spoon pauses at Marion's lips, her stare sharp enough to slice through porcelain. Ella sets her serving dish beside the roast, hands steady despite the tremor in her fingertips. Pass the potatoes, she says, voice light. Marion places her fork down and replies in a flat tone, the potatoes, Ella? Her question drips accusation. The assembled relatives shift uneasily. An aunt coughs. Uncle Timothy clears his throat. No one speaks, tension hums in the air. Marcus leans forward, lowering his voice to a whisper. Ignore her. Eat. His fingers brush Ella's under the table. She nods, heart pounding. She scoops potatoes onto her plate, forcing a small smile for her father-in-law, Judge Kingsley, whose brow furrows in concern. Conversation begins, strained compliments and small talk. Aunt Vera praises the new paint in the guest room. Uncle Timothy asks after her parents. Ella answers with practiced cheer, but every phrase feels coated in thin glass. Whenever she pauses, Marion's gaze returns, wordless condemnation perched on her lips. Suddenly, Marion clears her throat loudly. Forks clatter. All eyes turn. My dear daughter-in-law, she says, voice cold. Have you considered when you might bless us with grandchildren? Or shall we build the nursery elsewhere? The words land like stones. Ella's breath catches. She forces a laugh. I'm trying, she stammers. Marcus squeezes her hand, but their private warmth doesn't breach the icy space. Marion smiles, a predatory curve. Trying, she repeats. Time is precious. She returns her attention to her plate, but the damage is done. Murmurs ripple around the table like aftershocks. A cousin mutters, she's delaying. Another whispers, must be her fault. Ella's cheeks burn. She lifts her wine glass intending to sip, but her hand shakes and the glass slips, spilling crimson liquid across the tablecloth. Gasps erupt. Marion's lips tighten. Marcus jumps up, patting Ella's shoulder. Let me handle this, he says, taking the glass. He signals for napkins. Ella sinks into her chair, cheeks flaming. She listens to the rustle of serviettes and the whispered judgments. The silent home has spoken its verdict, and she is unworthy. Later, in the quiet of the guest room, Ella packs her things, mind racing. The nursery must have remained empty for a reason, one she will uncover. She pauses by the ornate mirror, smoothing her dress as determination ignites her chest. The hallway's chill cannot cool her resolve. Later tonight, she will demand answers from Marcus, exposing Marion's cruelty. If her husband shields another secret, she will unravel every lie, even if it means destroying the life she thought was stable. Ella Drummond sits in the waiting room of Hartwell Fertility Clinic, glancing at the model vaulted ceiling. She fidgets with her appointment card. Dr. Khan will confirm the truth, or so she hopes. Outside, lobby lights flicker as nurses bustle about, ignoring her anxious gaze. A shy voice calls her name. Dr. Khalid Khan, mid-30s with kind eyes, guides her into a private office. He offers a gentle smile. Ella, I reviewed your records and ran new tests. Everything appears normal. Relief washes over her face. She forces a grin. But, he lowers his voice, I noticed discrepancies in the imaging from Dr. Kamen's report. Ella's heart throbs. Discrepancies. He flips through a folder. Dates don't align. And this scan, he taps the paper, was taken under different protocol. I've ordered a fresh ultrasound. Can you have it done tomorrow morning? Yes, she breathes. Anything you need. He hesitates. One more thing. I found a note in the files and signed, warning not to proceed with treatment until further notice. No explanation. Ella's blood turns to ice. Who would write that? Dr. Khan shrugs. I'm investigating. But I suggest caution. If someone is doctoring your files, you must protect your rights. Consider legal counsel to secure your records. Thank you, she whispers, voice trembling. She rises, shaking Dr. Khan's hand. I appreciate your honesty. Outside the clinic, rain patters against the windshield of her car. She texts Marcus, all clear. Come get me? She waits, watching the droplets blur the world. Her phone buzzes, on my way. His words feel heavy. No exclamation or embrace in reply, just duty. At home, she studies the copy of Dr. Kamen's report, line by line. Why plant irregularities? She opens her laptop and drafts an email. Request full disclosure of all medical records under patient privacy laws. She presses send. Later, alone, she rehearses confrontation in the mirror. Marcus, why trap me in this lie? She practices. Her reflection stares back, determined, unbowed. When a knock sounds at the door, she tenses. Marcus enters, rain coating his shoulders. He locks the door. What did he say? Ella closes the laptop. He pointed out someone tried to stop my treatment. He suspects someone's manipulating my files. Marcus ducks his head. I had nothing to do with that. She holds his gaze. Then help me find who did. Marcus, please, she implores, voice raw. I can't face this alone. He steps closer, voice tight. Ella, I swear I didn't tamper with your files. She crosses her arms. Then we find the culprit together. He nods. I'll retrieve the original scans and contact legal counsel. She exhales. I'll schedule tomorrow's ultrasound. Silence stretches. Then Marcus hesitates. Ella, I need to confess something. Her heart drums. Yes. His voice cracks. Infertility runs in my family. I hid it to protect you. Ella's breath catches. Why keep it from me? He lowers his head. I was ashamed. She softens. We'll face this, together. Their embrace promises unity against the enemy. They will not falter. The clock beside Ella's bed glowed 2:17 a.m. when she heard the faint click of Marcus's socked feet on the hardwood floor. She slipped free of the duvet and crept toward the study door. A sliver of light spilled out. Inside, Marcus stood with the door ajar, phone pressed to his ear. His voice was low, urgent. "You promised. I've done everything. Now deliver." Ella's breath caught. Who was he speaking to? She pressed against the wall, listening. "Not tonight, please. I need more time," he whispered. "The file. I'll bring it tomorrow." A harsh laugh answered. "You've blown it enough. Your wife is suspicious." "No," he protested. "She trusts me. I can manage this under the radar." "She's already prying. Find another way." Marcus ran a hand through his hair. "Fine. But I need your help with the lab results. Nothing beyond what we agreed." Ella's heart thudded. Lab results. Could it refer to her fertility files? She stepped forward. A floorboard murmured. Marcus froze, phone clutched to his ear. "Marcus." Ella called softly. His head whipped around, eyes wide. "Ella," he stammered into the phone. He cut the call, sliding the phone into his pocket. She crossed her arms. "Who are you talking to?" He met her gaze, guilt heavy in his eyes. "No one." She shook her head. "Don't lie. I heard everything." He exhaled. "It's not what it seems." She stepped into the room, voice steadier than she felt. "Tell me what it was." He stared at the floor. I owe someone money. It's private." Ella's fists clenched. "Money? And lab results? Are you selling my scans?" Marcus's face crumpled. "Please, you don't understand." She crossed to his desk, grabbing the lamp. "Then enlighten me." He released a shaky breath. 2 years ago, I borrowed $10,000 from my cousin, David. I had to keep it quiet. He threatened to ruin our family if I didn't pay on time." Ella's eyes narrowed. "What did he want the money for?" He met her gaze. "He's running a side business, kidney transplants. Illicit. He used my account to launder payments." Ella's stomach dropped. "You're involved with organ trafficking?" He shook his head fiercely. "No, he made me sign documents. I've been terrified." She stared at him in stunned silence. The rigged fertility files and the orphanage scheme suddenly wove into a darker tapestry. Her pulse raced. Ella backed away, mind racing. "I need air." She rushed outside, the cool night breeze washing over her. Midnight had made confessions. The world she knew shifted, and now she questioned everything. She stands on the balcony, cloak of darkness enfolding her, breathing raggedly. The truth unspools before her, knotted. What else has Marcus hidden? She grips the railing and quietly vows to confront David. Conspiracy reaches beyond their marriage, further than she feared. Secrets buried in hospitals, orphanages, and midnight rooms. Tomorrow she will arm herself with questions, determination, and a recording of every word he admitted under the moonlight. 2 nights later, Ella stands before the study door, dressed in black from head to toe. The house lies silent, windows dark, every shadow familiar. She presses the crescent moonlight aside and slips inside. Marcus's study smells of leather and old paper. She closes the door and locks it, no turning back. Her eyes adjust to the dim glow of the desktop monitor, screensaver flickering. She crosses to the mahogany desk, heart thudding. The top drawer is locked. She clicks open the hidden latch beneath the knob. Inside, a sleek USB drive gleams among forgotten stationery. She whispers to herself, "This must be it." She pockets the drive and moves to the cabinet where Dr. Kamen's handwritten records once were, before he promised to burn them. The drawers are empty. A folded envelope on the shelf catches her eye. Its seal bears the hospital emblem. She pries it open. Inside is a file labeled Patient, Marcus Kingsley. Her pulse leaps. She pulls out a printed report stamped Confidential. Ella's fingers tremble as she scans the page. Test type, genetic analysis. Conclusion, familial infertility mutation present. Recommended donor program. She rereads, Patient Marcus Kingsley carries a recessive gene linked to irreversible sterility. She realizes the file was his secret, and the reason for her infertility accusations. Her breath hitches. A floorboard creaks. She tosses the envelope onto the desk and snatches the USB. Hiding behind the desk, she holds her breath. Marcus's heavy footsteps cross the hallway. The door handle rattles. She grips the drive and leaps into action, ducking under his intrusion and slipping out through the door. Downstairs, she dials Dr. Khan's number. "It's me," she whispers into the phone. "I found the file. Marcus is a carrier." She listens intently. "I need your help to validate this. Meet me at the clinic in 2 hours." She hangs up and exhales. The house feels oppressively quiet, as if it too is holding its breath. In the garage, she slides into her car and starts the engine. Her reflection in the rearview mirror shows eyes blazing with resolve and betrayal. She navigates the dark streets toward the clinic, mind racing with questions. Who else knows this secret? How deep does the conspiracy run? As the clinic's neon sign pulses into view, Ella grips the USB drive and the printed report. She realizes the file she recovered is more than evidence. It's her key to the truth that will shatter her marriage and expose the darkness beyond. Ella's phone buzzed at 1:43 a.m. She grabbed it, eyes burning against the pale screen. "Lab results ready," read the subject line. Her pulse leapt. Hands trembling, she opened the PDF. 2 columns labeled Sample A and Sample B. Sample A matched her own profile. Sample B, she held her breath. A chill slithered through her veins. She realized, this wasn't about her fertility. Downstairs, Dr. Khan stood at the kitchen island. He straightened at her entrance. "The DNA test arrived," she whispered, handing him the printout. He spread the sequences across the granite. "Sample B matches 98% of the Y chromosome markers in Marcus's confidential mutation file," he murmured. "These belong to a boy named Samuel. He's 6, from the orphanage. He's your husband's son." Ella's knees buckled. She gripped the counter. "I ordered this to confirm Marcus's sterility mutation, not to uncover another child." Her voice cracked. Dr. Khan met her gaze. "I'm sorry. He concealed this, kept you in the dark." He paused. "You deserve the full truth. We should duplicate these records and alert legal counsel first thing." She sank onto a stool, mind racing. Memories of birthdays, anniversaries, quiet nights at home flashed by, now tainted. Rage and grief warred within her. "Blood on his hands," she whispered, voice rough. He hesitated. "This evidence is damning. He'll deny it. You need a plan." Ella's jaw clenched. No more delays. Clutching the report, she raced upstairs. In Marcus's study, shadows pooled across his desk. She flicked on the lamp, revealing an empty leather chair, his belt draped over it. She snapped the folder open and arranged the pages like an indictment. Moments later, Marcus reappeared, sleep in his eyes. He froze at the sight. "Ella?" She advanced, voice cold. "Explain this." She pressed the DNA report under his nose. He swallowed. It's not what you think." Her eyes narrowed. "You fathered Samuel in secret. Why hide it?" He ran a hand through his hair. It was my responsibility. I borrowed money to support him. I feared your reaction." She pressed forward. "You gambled with a child's life and our marriage." He sank onto the chair, head in his hands. "I was desperate. I thought I was protecting you both." Ella let out a bitter laugh, tears pricking her eyes. "Protection at what cost? Blood on your hands, Marcus. You'll answer for this." At dawn's first light, Ella knocked on Lily's white cottage door, heart pounding. Barefoot on the porch, memories of childhood mornings with her twin felt distant. Lily opened in a floral robe, eyes wide. "Ella, coffee?" Inside, Ella settled on the sofa while Lily poured coffee into porcelain cups. The living room was immaculate. Embroidered cushions, shelves of self-help books. The contrast stung. "I need your alibi from last Friday night," Ella began, voice steady. "You said you were with Marcus the entire time I was missing." Lily paused, brow knitting. "Dinner at the Maple Bistro, remember?" she replied softly. Ella leaned forward. "No reservation under your name. Valet logs show no black SUV. CCTV found no record of you two together." Lily's hand trembled. She set down the pot. "I must have given the wrong info. I'm sorry." "We sat at the bar." "Bar by the window?" Ella pressed. "Then why didn't the hostess see you? And why did you miss lunch with me the next day? You didn't answer my calls until midnight." Lily's lips quivered. She wrapped her arms around herself. "Marcus begged me not to say anything." "Begged you? For what?" Ella's chest tightened. Lily glanced at the window, voice shaking. "He said he was under watch. That if anyone discovered Samuel and the lab, I'd be next." "Next?" Ella echoed. "He threatened to expose my career, my family. He said silence was our only safety." Ella's pulse thundered. "He blackmailed you into lying." Lily nodded, tears pooling. "He said you'd lose everything." Ella rose, voice cold. "You must help me now. I need your digital phone records, bank statements, anything tracking his movements." Lily's tears fell freely. "I'll gather them. I'm scared." Ella stepped forward, resting a hand on her twin's shoulder. Shared memories of scraped knees and whispered promises surfaced. We'll face this together. But you must be honest. Lily drew a shaky breath and nodded. I swear. Outside, Ella inhaled the cool air. Her sister's alibi had cracked. Now together they would rebuild the truth from these shattered lies. Weeks after her confrontation, Ella arrived at Hartwell Fertility Clinic before sunrise. She stepped from her unmarked rental car into the glass foyer. Armed with a falsified ID and an appointment under E. Sinclair, she blended into the morning rush. Nurses in pastel scrubs passed, oblivious. At reception, she gave her alias in a calm tone. The clerk scanned her card and pointed to a waiting area. Ella sat among anxious couples, flipping through prenatal magazines. She tapped her foot, adrenaline thrumming. She reminded herself, find the clinic's link to Marcus's mutation cover-up. A chime summoned Nurse Dalton. Miss Sinclair, she said with a smile. Ella rose. The nurse led her down a hallway lined with photographs of smiling families. No mention of any Kingsley. They stopped at room 312. Nurse Dalton slipped inside and closed the door. Ella followed, noting a wall-mounted cabinet labeled with codes. Do you call patients by ID here? She asked. Dalton blinked. We maintain anonymity. She donned gloves and motioned Ella to the exam table. Ella lay back playing the part. When the nurse's back was turned, Ella slid a pen-sized camera from her pocket and pressed it against the desk edge. The nurse recorded vitals and jotted codes. K102B3, donor vial 14, review August 15th. Ella caught every entry. Her heart hammered. This matched Marcus's secret file blueprint. After the exam, she slipped out, adrenaline propelling her. In the corridor's flicker, she transferred images to her phone. The clinic was complicit. Under a humming fluorescent light, Ella texted Dr. Khan, meet at midnight. Urgent. She deleted all trace of Sinclair and stepped into the rising sun, poised to strike back. That night, Ella crept into Marcus's study with Lily's lockpick kit. The room felt cavernous, shelves bowing under leather volumes. She flicked on the desk lamp, tension coiling in her chest. A towering bookshelf caught her eye, every spine perfectly aligned, titles mismatched. Glancing at the wall clock, 2:17 a.m., she knelt and fitted the tiniest pick into a discreet keyhole beneath a lower shelf. A soft click echoed. She pressed the shelf and it pivoted inward, revealing a narrow stone corridor. Heart hammering, she shone her phone light down the passage. Dust motes floated in the beam. She edged forward, the door groaning closed behind her. At the corridor's end, a rusted wooden door beckoned. Inside, cabinets bristled with ancient film reels. A single desk held a reel-to-reel player, beside a blurred photograph of a woman. A vial marked Subject 204, and stamped consent forms lay scattered. Ella loaded a box labeled Domestic Logs 2021. The reels whirred and cast flickering images on the wall. Marcus handing sealed envelopes to that same woman, a USB drive exchanged in shadow. His voice echoed, Operation Eclipse proceeds as planned. She fast-forwarded to lab trial August 22nd, watching technicians fill vials marked with her ID. A later clip showed Ella asleep, watched from the doorway. Tears stung. This chamber held proof of every betrayal. Ella rifled through more tapes, birthday parties, therapy sessions, evidence designed to control her. A creak snapped the darkness. She yanked the reels free, the lights died. Footsteps neared. She ducked behind cabinets, breath choking. A key turned and pale light spilled in. Marcus stepped through, confusion and guilt etched on his face. Ella? What are you doing here? She emerged, fury and sorrow blazing. You recorded me, every private moment. She held up the cassette. You spied on me. His shoulders sagged. I didn't mean. Protection, she spat. By violating me? He exhaled, voice cracking. I thought I was shielding us, from people who'd exploit your fertility gene. Her lip trembled. You crossed every line. I trusted you. She backed toward the hidden exit. This ends now. Marcus watched her leave, silence heavy. In that room of secrets, Ella's marriage lay in ruins, but from the wreckage she would build her justice. The next morning, Ella returned with Lily and Dr. Khan. They hauled dusty photo albums from the hidden chambers cabinets onto her dining room table. Each page held family gatherings, weddings, birthdays, holidays. But in every background stood a woman, always half-hidden, always watching, olive-skinned, dark-haired, eyes wary. Lily pointed to one photo. Marcus's graduation party 5 years ago. I've never seen her, Lily murmured. Who is she? Dr. Khan examined another. The woman appeared beside Marcus's father at a charity event. She's embedded herself throughout his life, he said. Clearly more than a random acquaintance. Ella tapped each image, tracing the woman's subtle smiles and silent stares. She's the key, Ella breathed. She orchestrated everything. My accusations, the orphanage funding, the mutation cover-up. They cataloged timestamps scrawled on the backs of photos, matching them to clinic logs and Marcus's travel records. The woman's presence spanned years and continents. Her name was nowhere in any file. Lily's phone buzzed, a delivery notification, an envelope from an address in downtown Lagos. Inside was a single Polaroid, Marcus, Lily, and that same woman standing in front of the orphanage 6 years ago. On the back, for your eyes only. Ella's breath caught. She's the director, Lily whispered. The one Marcus paid off. Dr. Khan snapped photos of the Polaroid. With this we can expose them both. Determination bloomed in Ella's chest. She gathered every photo, every timestamp, every secret file they'd collected. We'll present this at trial. The world will see her, and Marcus, for who they are. As sunlight slanted through the window, Ella realized that the final pieces were in place. The faces in the frame would become her witnesses, and she would claim her justice once and for all. Ella jolted awake at 3:12 a.m. when her phone screen blinked with an unknown number. Her heart hammered as she slid out of bed, the house silent around her. She answered, voice tight. Hello? A distorted whisper replied, You think you know the truth. Meet me at the old ironworks off Brook Street, now, or everything you've uncovered means nothing. The line went dead. She blinked against the darkness, mind racing. An abandoned warehouse, deserted for years, her pulse pounded at the thought. Grabbing her coat and the USB drive, she yanked on boots and slipped out the back door. The night air bit at her cheeks as she raced to her car. Every streetlight glowed empty, reflections dancing across rain-slick pavement. She flicked on the headlights and sped toward the waterfront district, where the decrepit ironworks loomed like a sleeping giant. Arriving, she killed the engine and sat in silence, listening to her breath. Crossing to the rusted gate, she squeezed through a gap and crept into the cavernous space, moonlight slanting through shattered windows. Footsteps echoed on concrete. A figure emerged from the shadows, holding a manila envelope. Ella squared her shoulders. Who sent you? She demanded. He didn't answer, tossing the envelope at her feet. She snatched it open. Inside lay bank records, orphanage ledgers, and a map with the Kingsley estate ringed in red. Her mind reeled. Before she could speak, the figure moved closer. She snapped her phone's light on. Recognition hit. It was Samuel's director, Mrs. Bacco. You shouldn't be here alone, she said, voice low. They're watching. Ella's pulse jumped. Who's watching? Mrs. Bacco's eyes glinted. The same people who ordered your files doctored. They've silenced witnesses. She placed a hand on Ella's arm. You need help. A sudden clatter echoed, someone descending a metal staircase. Time's up, Mrs. Bacco hissed. Ella tucked the documents into her coat and nodded. But before they could flee, a spotlight snapped on, illuminating a man with a gun. Ella froze. Go. Mrs. Bacco shoved her toward an exit. Bullets spat across the concrete, sending sparks flying. Ella stumbled into the rain-soaked courtyard, heart thundering as Mrs. Bacco's voice called over the gunfire, Don't look back, just run. She sprinted beneath the skeletal beams, the man's shouts fading. Reaching her car, she threw herself inside, locked the door and pounded the steering wheel. Sirens wailed in the distance. She yanked out her phone. No service. In desperation, she dialed 911, whispering the address and what she'd found. As headlights cut through the gloom, Ella sank against the seat, breath ragged. The emergency call had led her here, now she held the proof. The conspiracy reached deeper and darker than she ever imagined. And there was no turning back. Bleary-eyed at dawn, Marcus's study gleamed under overhead lamps as Ella burst in, clutching the night's documents. He looked up, concern flickering in his eyes. Ella? What happened? She spread the orphanage ledgers and bank statements across his desk. Explain these transactions, she demanded, voice steely. Thousands funneled from your accounts into that orphanage. Marcus rose, swallowing. Those were donations. His gaze flicked away. She pointed to the entries, weekly transfers tied to code names. Donations don't go to shell companies, Marcus. Her frustration cracked her voice. Smoke and mirrors. Who's really controlling this money? He pinched the bridge of his nose. I wanted to help Samuel without drawing attention. I thought the orphanage was legitimate. Ella's eyes hardened. You thought lies and secrecy were kindness? She tapped the ledger. You hid my condition, your mutation, and then you laundered money through this place? He ran a trembling hand through his hair. I was ashamed. I panicked. She leaned closer. What did you really fund here? His shoulders sagged. I didn't know. They handled it. She caught a flicker of desperation in his eyes. They? She pressed. Who's they? Marcus hesitated. I met someone when I was desperate, after our first failed attempt. He looked away. A man called Etienne approached me about genetic research. He promised cures. Ella's jaw clenched. Genetic research? You gave him control over my fertility and your family's future? He nodded, voice hoarse. He needed funding. He offered results. She exhaled sharply. You sold us both into his experiments. The weight of betrayal pressed in. Etienne used the orphanage as a front. She slapped the ledger. Smoke and mirrors indeed. You hid children like Samuel in a twisted trial you financed. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. I never wanted to hurt anyone. Ella stepped back, pain in her voice. You hurt me, and countless others. If Etienne's trials go public, lives will be destroyed. She grabbed her coat. I'm going to that orphanage. I want answers face to face. He rose, urgency in his posture. Ella, wait. Let me help. She paused, fury and grief warring in her chest. Finally she shook her head. This I must do alone. She swept past him, retrieving her purse. If you truly care, stay out of my way until I say otherwise. As Ella slammed the door, Marcus sank into his chair, the ledger sprawled before him. His world had fractured. She would find the truth, no matter how smoky or mirrored it was. The orphanage grounds were eerily quiet when Ella arrived mid-morning. She carried the ledger and bank records, determination burning in her eyes. A tall chain-link fence surrounded the compound. A single guardhouse sat empty. She slipped through an unsecured gate and found herself before a small brick office. Heart-pounding, she knocked. A frail woman in a white blouse answered, her face lined with years of hardship and compassion. You must be Ella Kingsley, the woman said softly, eyes wary. I'm the director, Mrs. Ackend. Ella held up the ledgers. I have questions about financials, children like Samuel. Mrs. Ackend's lips trembled. I don't know what you're talking about. Ella forced a smile. Don't play ignorant. Your name appears here connected to code vials and transfers. The director's face crumpled. She stepped aside and invited Ella in. Inside, sunlight slanted through barred windows. Rows of desks held files and photographs of smiling children. Mrs. Ackend motioned Ella to a chair and sank opposite her. Those transfers were prescribed research funds, she whispered. Scientific exploration into genetic cures. Ella frowned. But Samuel's DNA matches Marcus's mutation. You know about these tests. Ackend's hands shook. They told me it would help children with rare disorders, save lives. I trusted them. Ella's voice sharpened. You trusted a front. My husband funneled money here under false pretenses. Mrs. Ackend closed her eyes. I had no choice. Etienne threatened to cut funding for legitimate cases, threatened to expose my own son's diagnosis. Ella's heart lurched. She leaned forward, voice gentle. You sheltered children then? Ackend nodded, tears falling. I did what I could. Ella's anger melted into resolve. Tell me everything. Names, dates, vials, locations. I need proof for the trial. Mrs. Ackend rattled off confidential details. Clandestine lab sites in Lagos, code numbers, witness names. Suddenly, footsteps pounded outside. A dark SUV screeched to a halt. Two men in suits emerged, flashing badges. Director Ackend, one barked, by order of Dr. Etienne, you're under arrest for violating medical statutes. Ella rose, confronting them. You're arresting her for saving lives? The agents hesitated. Step aside, Miss Kingsley. Ackend's face blanched. They have influence, she sobbed. They'll silence me. Ella rounded on the agents. I'm taking her testimony. You'll need a court order to stop us. Recognizing her name, the agents paused, then lowered their dossier. Ella swept files into her bag. Come on, she urged Ackend. We're getting you safe. Helpless, Ackend followed. As they fled the orphanage grounds, Ella realized the bloodline she sought to protect extended beyond her marriage. She was fighting for every hidden child whose life was manipulated in the shadows. Back at her family home, Ella rifled through her late mother's belongings. In the attic's dim light, dust motes danced around faded photo albums and heirlooms. She found her mother's old leather-bound diary beneath a tattered quilt. The cover bore an embossed alchemical symbol, 2 interlocking circles. Opening to an entry dated June 12, 1998, Ella read an elegant script. The serum's progress astounds me, but its power must be contained. The basement beneath the old wine cellar holds my most daring work. Should the world seek to manipulate bloodlines, let it remain hidden here. Her pulse raced. Her mother, a respected physician, had dabbled in genetic serums. Ella's breath caught as she flipped pages. Formulas, diagrams of DNA helixes, references to Project Athena, and donor compatibility. One sketch detailed a hidden door in the stone wall under the stairs. She raced downstairs, ankle-thick carpet muffling her steps. In the corner of the hallway, a framed wine rack concealed a keyhole. Ella inserted her pocketknife's blade. The latch clicked. A panel swung open, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. Clutching the diary, she clicked on a flashlight and crept down. The air grew cool and damp as she descended, each step echoing. At the bottom, a heavy metal door bore her mother's alchemical mark. Fingers trembling, she turned the handle, pushing it open. Inside, stainless steel tables gleamed under fluorescent lights. Rows of shelves held glass vials, each labeled with dates and initials. Some bore Ella's name, others marked MK03 and EK01. A centrifuge hummed quietly, and metal cabinets displayed sealed folders. Ella ran a hand over the lab bench, heart pounding. She opened a file stamped Project Athena, Phase 2. The pages described trials on blood compatibility, fertility enhancement, notes warning against unpredictable side effects. Her mother had tried to perfect a cure for her own siblings' infertility decades ago. Suddenly, footsteps thudded above. She spun, flashlight beam dancing across the lab. Ella? Lily's voice echoed from the stairs. Relief and urgency surged. Lily, get Dr. Khan, Ella called, voice breathless. This lab, my mother built it. Lily's footfalls grew louder as she descended, phone in hand. Ella flipped through vials until she found one marked with Marcus's mutation code. Her breath caught. The serum he'd funded at the orphanage originated here. Her mother created the technology he'd weaponized. Grief and determination warred within her. The alchemist's secret could save lives, or become the ultimate weapon. As Lily appeared at the door, Ella whispered, "We have to secure this, before everyone who betrayed us learns it exists." Together they gathered the files and vials. The lab's fluorescent hum underscored the weight of the knowledge they now possessed. At midnight, rain hammered the driveway as Ella and Lily returned to the hidden lab. Dr. Khan joined them, flashlight beams cutting through the darkness. They approached the basement entrance, careful to avoid the creaking floorboards upstairs. Ella's pulse raced. This raid could expose the deepest layer of betrayal. They slipped inside, knees creaking on the cold stone steps. In the lab, fluorescent lights flickered. Tablets, notebooks, and vials lay strewn across stainless steel worktops. Ella held a flashlight in one hand and her mother's diary in the other, using its diagrams to guide them. "The freezer cabinet is behind that bench," she whispered. Lily moved swiftly, checking shelves for evidence. "Here," she hissed, pointing to a tall refrigerator unit. Dr. Khan joined them, lifting the glass door. Inside, dozens of vials glowed under interior lights, each tagged with medical codes and dates. Ella scanned the labels, EK01, MK03, and several marked Patient Beta 12. But one rack stood out, bright red labels reading Ella Drummond, Trial Subject. Her breath caught. She pulled a vial free. It contained a shimmering amber liquid. "They tested me," she whispered. "Injected me without consent." She shuddered, anger igniting her veins. Lily snapped photos while Dr. Khan jotted notes. Suddenly, the door at the top of the stairs banged. Footsteps shouted, "Open up, police!" Ella's heart leapt. Had someone called ahead? No time. She clutched the vial and shoved documents into her backpack. "We have to move," she urged. They raced up the stairs. On the landing, two silhouettes blocked their path, security from the estate, alerted by motion sensors. "Stop right there," a voice yelled. Lily darted past them, using the bag as a shield. Ella and Dr. Khan bolted after her, spilling onto the hallway floor. Ella yanked off her hiking boot and slammed it into the panel behind them, triggering the hidden bookshelf to swing open. They tumbled through, the door thudding shut behind them. The guards pounded on the bookshelf. Ella pressed her ear to the wood. "They'll break through," she whispered. Dr. Khan held up his phone. I've already emailed everything to the legal team and news outlets. Ella exhaled. Good. They can't ignore this. The guards' voices grew faint as sirens wailed outside. They slipped down the corridor to the garage, emerging into the storm. In the pouring rain, Ella held the vial aloft like a trophy. They'll pay for every secret they buried, she vowed. Lily and Dr. Khan flanked her as headlights approached, her allies in the fight to expose every dark truth hidden in blood and glass. Rain pounded against the attic's lone window as Ella stood amid the scattered evidence she and Lily had unearthed from the hidden lab. The orphanage ledgers, the secret vials, the damning photographs, all pointed to the same man, Marcus. He lingered in the doorway, shoulders bowed beneath his drenched coat, eyes rimmed with sorrow. Silence stretched between them like a chasm. Ella's voice trembled. Why, Marcus? Why betray me this way? Marcus inhaled sharply, stepping into the dull glow of the single overhead bulb. I never meant to hurt you, he began, glancing at the files on the floor. It started with hope. Your mother's Project Athena. She dreamed of a cure for infertility. When she died, her lab was sealed. Years later, when my mutation was confirmed, I panicked. I was ashamed to face you. Ella's chest tightened. Panicked? You funneled money through an orphanage, gambled on children's lives, doctored my medical records, and you call that panicking? He flinched at her words. David connected me with Etienne. He promised to use my funding to complete Athena's work and reverse the mutation. He said it would give us a child, our family a future. I thought I was saving you, saving us. She paced, rainwater dripping from her hair onto the hardwood. Saving us? You turned Samuel into a guinea pig. You allowed labs to experiment on innocent orphans. Marcus's jaw clenched. I tried to stop them. They threatened to expose Samuel, our secret son, and destroy everything. They had leverage, videos, lab notes, transfer records. I lied to protect you. Ella's voice rose. You destroyed my trust instead. You lied about my fertility, twisted every corner of our lives. He swallowed. We were trapped. I thought covering things up was the only way to shield you from shame. Her eyes burned. Shame? Shame is why you hid the truth. But monsters thrive in shadows, Marcus. It's in the open where we find justice. He stepped closer, desperate. I will testify. I'll hand over every asset, every lab report. I'll face the consequences. Ella paused, lightning illuminating his remorseful face. She noticed the quiver in his voice, the haunted look in his eyes. Words aren't enough, she said quietly. You'll stand trial, and I'll see that every victim gets a voice. He nodded, tears mingling with raindrops. Yes. Ella cut him off. No more excuses. Together we'll expose them all. She reached out, touching his sleeve. Let's begin. 2 days later, the courtroom buzzed with anticipation. Reporters crowded the gallery, their cameras clicking like a swarm of angry insects. Ella sat beside Marcus at the plaintiff's table, her posture poised yet taut. Marcus's eyes met hers briefly, guilt etched in the lines of his face. Judge Denis called the session to order. We are here in the matter of Drummond versus Kingsley and Associates. The bailiff nodded and lawyers exchanged nods. Ella's attorney, Ms. Obafemi, rose, her voice resonant. Your Honor, we present evidence that Mr. Marcus Kingsley knowingly financed illicit genetic trials on minors, manipulated his wife's medical records, and orchestrated an elaborate cover-up spanning continents. She laid out documents from the orphanage, lab reports from the hidden basement, and the diary excerpts from Ella's mother. Each piece of evidence landed with palpable impact. A child's name here, a coded transcript there, a photograph of the mysterious director, Mrs. Akand, beside a trembling Marcus. The defense attorney, Mr. Okoro, stormed to his feet. Your Honor, my client faced unimaginable pressure. He sought medical relief for a wife he loved. Any errors were in good faith. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Ella grew hot with indignation. When her turn came, she stood, robes of calm professionalism concealing her hurt. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not about errors. This is about betrayal of every principle we held dear. Children were exploited. A secret lab operated in my childhood home. My husband hid a child, our son, from me. She described Samuel's silent tears, Lily's coerced alibi, and Mrs. Akand's broken testimony. She recounted midnight confessions and hidden rooms. Justice demands we shine light on these crimes, she concluded, voice resolute. No more shadows. The judge nodded gravely. We will hear witness testimony. One by one, orphans, lab technicians, and Mrs. Akin recounted horrors masked as research. Marcus flinched but stood firm. When his confession arrived, his own cross-examination, he wept openly, admitting every detail. Outside, cameras blazed. Ella's heart pounded as she emerged into the courtyard. A reporter thrust a microphone at her. "Ella Drummond, do you feel vindicated?" Calmly she nodded. "Justice has a price. Today it was the truth." In the weeks after the trial's opening, the media frenzy grew relentless. Headlines splashed across screens: "Billionaire betrayed wife," "Orphans as lab rats," "Secret genetic serum exposed." Ella found herself both celebrated and vilified. Activists hailed her as a hero, detractors called her crusade reckless. Determined to control the narrative, Ella harnessed social media. With Dr. Khan's help, she published scanned lab notes, video clips from the hidden room, and redacted financial records. Each post laid bare the conspiracy, igniting public outrage. Hashtags trended: hashtag Project Athena, hashtag Justice for Orphans. But power begets backlash. Viral skeptics claimed she fabricated evidence. Tabloid experts questioned her motives. Late-night shows mocked her. Sponsors withdrew support from her charity initiatives. The weight of broken truths felt suffocating. One evening, Ella sat in her study, fatigued and bruised by relentless commentary. Lily joined her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "They'll come around," she whispered. "Truth wins." Ella nodded, eyes fixed on the swirling rain outside. She pulled up live trial footage. Mrs. Akin's emotional testimony, then Marcus's tearful admission. The world was watching, and no smear campaign could erase the video record. The next morning she called a press conference. Standing before cameras and a sea of microphones, she spoke: "We cannot let fear silence victims. I stand here not as a betrayed wife, but as someone who believes in accountability." Her voice, though firm, quivered with emotion. "May we all learn that transparency is the cure for corruption." Cameras flashed. Reporters scribbled. Social media buzzed anew. Ella felt a surge of hope. Broken truths were no longer shattered. They were building blocks for justice. The day of the verdict arrived under a gray sky. The packed courtroom pulsed with anticipation. Ella sat at the plaintiff's table, her evidence dossier beside her. Marcus stood a few feet away, suited and solemn. Judge Denis reviewed his notes. For the charges of medical malpractice, child endangerment and conspiracy, the judge declared, voice echoing, "I find the defendant, Marcus Kingsley, guilty on all counts." Gasps and cheers intertwined. Ella's legs trembled as she rose. Marcus nodded at her, tears in his eyes. He stepped forward, head bowed. The judge addressed him directly: "Mr. Kingsley, you knowingly violated the trust of your wife, your family, and vulnerable children. This court sentences you to community service, restitution payments, and supervised probation. Furthermore, all defendants associated with Project Athena are barred from medical practice." Ella allowed herself a brief exhale. Justice had its price, and it was paid. She watched as Mrs. Akin was exonerated of wrongdoing, recognized instead for her efforts to protect children. Etienne remained at large, but investigations had begun. Outside, cameras and microphones swarmed. Reporters clamored for interviews. Ella looked past them, seeing the line of orphans she had helped free, their faces hopeful. Samuel stood at the front, clutching her hand. In a makeshift podium at the courthouse steps, Ella raised a trembling voice. "Today we proved that no secret can stay buried forever. We stood as witnesses for those who have no voice." She glanced at Marcus, whose head was bowed in shame. "May this reckoning remind us all that truth and compassion must prevail." Amid applause, she felt the solid ground beneath her. Justice had been done. Months later, sunlight warmed the grounds of the former family estate, now converted into a research sanctuary. A bronze plaque read, "Athena Center for Ethical Genetics," honoring Ella's mother. Children laughed as volunteers taught art and science workshops. Ella walked the courtyard, Samuel skipping at her side, Lily chatting animatedly beside her. Dr. Khan waved from the greenhouse, where ethically sourced medicinal plants grew. The secret lab had been repurposed into a state-of-the-art facility with transparent oversight and community governance. She paused before the entrance, memories of betrayal flashing. Now those shadows were banished. She entered the main hall where staff, researchers, and children gathered. A large banner proclaimed, "Welcome to our future." At the podium, Ella cleared her throat. Cameras flashed as she spoke. "This center embodies my mother's vision, genetic research guided by ethics, compassion, and transparency. No more hidden rooms. No more broken families. We will use this knowledge to heal. She swept her gaze over the crowd. And to every child who deserves hope, you are the daughters and sons of justice. Samuel hugged her leg. She knelt, ruffling his hair. Lily placed a hand on Ella's shoulder. Marcus, working quietly as an advisor under probationary oversight, approached. He bowed his head. "Thank you," he whispered. Ella smiled, hope shining in her eyes. "Let's build this future, together." As applause rose, she realized her journey from betrayed wife to champion of justice had only just begun. But for the first time she felt whole, ready to lead, ready to forgive, and determined to ensure no one else would suffer in silence. Liked it? Thumbs up, subscribe, and join the AfriHeart fam. Your support fuels our stories. Until next time.